Where do you draw the line and decide that a workplace is too toxic? And feel free to raise your hand. Is it after being overworked and underpaid, and I'm talking 60 to 75 hours a week for $28,000 a year? Or maybe it's after finding out that your coworker's request for time off was rejected because the campaign was too important for her to visit her partner in the hospital. Or maybe it's after being forced to share a bed with a stranger because the organization puts 4 people to a hotel room for training. In my case, it was all of the above and more before I finally drew the line. Coming right out of college, I took a job as an organizer for an environmental nonprofit through a 1-year training program. I had never had a full-time job before, and so I had no frame of reference, didn't know exactly what to expect. I spent a year moving every 4 months for a new campaign, working packed days, eating lunch in my car most of the time, cold leftovers. I was once interrogated about why I purchased a plastic clipboard, which was slightly more expensive than the standard cardboard ones. And despite all of this, I stuck through the year and then decided to stay for another year to try to make things a little bit better. And I put forward proposals to include environmental justice in the training curriculum and try to support organizers so they wouldn't burn out, but I was told no over and over. Finally, I left that group and switched to a different group within the same national network, a team that shared my values, where we actually talked about how ridiculous it was that the salaries were so low, how absurd the burnout culture was, how horrible the surveillance culture of this organization was. We tried to change things there, and our executive director fought as hard as she could and was still told no over and over. I realized that what was needed was more systemic changes, and around this time, I learned that there was an effort underway to unionize the entire national network. I jumped right in, and that's when the floodgates opened. I learned about coworkers across the country I didn't know worked for the same network who had shared a lot of my experiences. All of us were in the same boat, and we just didn't know it, and we didn't know that some things could be different. I talked to a young organizer who was doing the same training program I had done, and also was right out of college doing this. And she said, I don't really know, I didn't know what to expect. I don't know what work is supposed to be like, but this doesn't seem normal. I said, no, this is not normal. I got to not only meet my coworkers through the union, but also meet organizers at other unions, at other big environmental nonprofits. We were part of a wave that was sweeping the country, where we as organizers who spent our careers saying no to big polluters, saying no to corrupt politicians, we were finally starting to say no to our own supervisors and toxic workplace environments. As exciting as the union effort was, my team realized that it wasn't going to be enough and it wasn't going to be fast enough for our own group within the network. We're desperate to continue to carry out our mission of working with communities most impacted by pollution and supporting their campaigns, but we were falling apart at the seams in the face of our bigger context. So the same week, the union announced that they were going public and asked for voluntary recognition from our management. My team sent a letter to the network leadership announcing essentially our desire to secede. And that's where the fun started. In organizing, we say, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. And that's pretty much how it went. They went after our board first with a hostile takeover, appointing 13 new board members to a board that originally included 12. So they now had a majority. They cut off our access to our Google systems and our donor base. They threatened to fire us if we didn't stay in line with their messaging. So on June 27th of 2022, I was the one who finally got to say no and deliver a letter of resignation on behalf of our team. Our entire staff left, and we took our board and our campaigns and our funding. A week later, I started my new job as the co-executive director of an autonomous, independent, environmental justice nonprofit. And I finally got to say yes. Yes to 4-day work weeks during the summer. Yes to competitive, sustainable salaries. Yes to a culture on our team of supporting each other and avoiding burnout by reminding each other constantly that in advocating for communities that are going up against big odds, we need to advocate for ourselves too. Thank you.